Shema Yasharallah, Yahawah, Allah Hayanawa, Yahawah, Achad, Shema Yasharallah, Yahawah, Allah Hayanawa, Yahawah, Achad, Shema Yasharallah, Yahawah, Allah Hayanawa, Yahawah, Achad. Barakatha Yahawah, Barakatha Yahawashai, Barakatha Yahawah, Barakatha Yahawashai, Barakatha Yahawah, Barakatha Yahawashai, BAHASHAM QADASH. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. I'm Zahar, spirit wind lawyer, and today I want to go into a topic briefly going into the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. The memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. All right, and this was a high holy day that we were commanded to keep in the ancient world. You know, and in the ancient world, the whole nation, all right, acknowledged the high holy days. Now we're yet this day in our captivity. The course of this world is contrary to the days of our feast of our nation, all right? So a lot of times days like this slip right past us. You know, we got the Pesach, which is the Passover. We have the Day of Atonement. You know, those are the two main high holy days, all right, that we keep here in Babylon. So sometimes the high holy days in between those can slip past us because of the course of this world, okay? But through the spirit and power of Yahawah BAHASHAM, you know, I made an effort to be more mindful of it this go round. You know, as long as we're here in Babylon, all right, we sort of, you know, get into our culture. Not sort of, but, you know, remember the old paths, you see? So going into the laws, we were commanded to keep the memorial or the blowing of the trumpets. Now, what does the blowing of the trumpets signify within our nation? All right, first of all, the blowing of the trumpets represented the entrance of a new Shabbat. All right, when there's a new moon, all right, which a new moon signals a new Shabbat. Okay, all right, there's a blowing of the trumpets. It's a calling. I believe the elder apostle Tahar was breaking it down. The calendar goes back to call in because you're calling in a new Shabbat. All right. So as a collective, as a nation, all right, there was a call in regards to the measuring, all right, of the new Shabbat, the entrance of a new Shabbat. Okay. And the memorial of the blowing of the trumpet is on the new moon, which is the new Shabbat. All right, but there's a memorial of the blowing of the trumpets because not only is there a blowing of the trumpets when there's a new Shabbat or a new moon, okay, but also the feast days, also when there's a time of war, all right, there's a blowing of the trumpets. And prophetically speaking, all right, there's going to be a final trump, all right, before the return of Yahawashi, all right, because the trumpet is also a war call. What's that in Amos 3:6? Should there be evil in the city and Yahawah have not done it? Should the trumpet sound and the people not be afraid? So today, when there's a mark of a new time, all right, you have that tornado siren, right? Because that tornado siren signifies, or tornado has touched down, but it also signifies the first of the month, 12 o'clock. It sounds the first of the month at 12 o'clock p.m. every month. They got that from our culture. All right, they're calling in. They're calling in by the Gregorian calendar, the first of the month, 12 p.m. Okay, so now, sundown this evening, all right, we're going to have the new moon, which falls on the high holy day, or the high holy day falls on the new moon, which is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Okay? And that's our memorial, because that's how you call in new feast days. That's how you call in new moons, okay? Through the blowing of the trumpet. That's how you communicate with the nation, through the blowing of the trumpets, okay? You have watchmen. You have watchmen, all right, who watch for the enemy, all right? They watchmen who watch for the constellations to measure the times, okay? And when they hit that marker, when we hit those uh, uh, key points within the year, those highlighted points in the year, they call in, be it the new moon, a feast day, or be it the enemy is upon us. All right, that signifies the blowing of the trumpet, hence the feast, or hence the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Okay, so it's a Yapa thing, man. You know, and in the kingdom we're gonna have that again. All right, we're gonna have our feast days. All right, we're gonna have our solemn assemblies. It's not a concert. You know, it's a solemn assembly. It's holy convocation. Oh, also the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets is to spiritually prepare us for the Day of Atonement, which is 10 days ahead of, 10 days after the blowing of the trumpet. So 10 days after the memorial of the blowing of the trumpet, what do you have? You have the Day of Atonement. So the memorial of the blowing of the trumpet, and I pulled this up off of AI, is basically for spiritual introspection, to spiritually prepare you for the Day of Atonement, which the Day of Atonement is like ushering in the new year as well, all right? Or you might say the end of a year, all right? But the Day of Atonement is around the new harvest, okay? It's around the harvest. So you have the Pesach, which is the new year. Then about 7 months later, or so many, let me get this right. April, May, June, July, August, September, roughly 6 months later, all right? There's the Day of Atonement, which is like another beginning, man. You see? But there also is also spiritually a spring cleaning, a shaking of the leaves, man. Okay? But the Day of Atonement is for us to be atoned of our sins. Okay, Judges 5:11. They, Shalom YAHAWAH, they that are delivered from the noise of archers and the places of drawing water, they shall rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of Yahweh go down to the gates. Okay? So this is the place where we rehearse the righteous acts. Like I said, a lot of days, those high holy days in between the Passover and the Day of Atonement, it slips past us. All right? You know, some brothers are able to keep it, some brothers are not. Or a brother might remember, the Most High have it on a certain brother's spirit, and we'll link up on that day because that brother remembered it, you know. But these are our feast days. These are our gathering days. These are our, come together days, solemn assemblies, man. Holy convocations. Okay? This is part of our customs, man. All right? Hanukkah, all right? All right? That's for that's for the celebration of returning to the temple, rebuilding the temple. And to get more into that, but it results in us giving gifts to each other. All right, so instead of celebrating the pagan Christmas, we celebrate what? Hanukkah. The Feast of Dedication, Chanak, which means dedication, dedicated. Chanak, that's where you get the name Enoch from. Dedicated. You see? But that's another high holy day. And what I've learned is a camp head is to look ahead like, okay, we're in September, okay, but another major high holy day that's coming up, Hanukkah, all right? Now, this is not like you're not going to be punished if you don't keep it, you see? But if it is good to remember ahead of time, because I'm thinking a couple months ahead of time, it's in December, you see? Chanak, dedicated, all right? But I'm thinking months ahead of time to call in, call in the new high holy day, okay? And it lasts so many days of gift giving, and brothers in the camp, we acknowledge that. We've had feasts on that particular time period, but they're just something that we can remember to do, Those alignments are good. When you align your feast, your gatherings with these high holy days, man. All right? Now, we know that we can't always do it because our work schedules, but if you can, those alignments are good. Aligning your gathering with the feast days of the scriptures, man. But that's something that I wanted to briefly touch on. Once again, the new moon is tonight, but also the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, because that's how through the blowing of the trumpets is how YAHAWAH BAHASHAM calls in the Shabbats, the new Shabbats, but also the high holy days, but is also giving heed to danger that's coming to the city. All right, say Amos 3:6 once again. All right, but the water for the scriptures, the water for tuning in. With that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM QADASH. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, Abba Baal, Komi Ashala, Shalom.